Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent big ugly himself, Omari Elefeo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen, and I'm joined by usual by my co-host and running mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey Omari, how you doing, baby?
Doing good.
Thank you for having me back as always. Love doing this thing. Passing stuff back and forth, movies, TV shows, concerts, everything in between. And this is one where you sent one my way.
Yes, sir. So obviously it's October. You know, we got somewhat spooky season and stuff in horror movies, but no secret, we're not the most versed in horror on this channel. But one thing I am versed in and have as a running theme on this show is fighting game, apparently animated fighting game movies. And there's a bit of big series I haven't touched yet, but it's kind of Halloween coded, or at least horror coded, because it deals with demons and shit. And that is. I didn't want to do the high pitch because the Zoom would have cut it off.
It still cut it off.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
I think maybe it volume peaked or something. Maybe you recorded it on your end and it just didn't send it my way, and you'll see it in the recording.
Probably not. Mortal Kombat. That's what it is. It's
Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge from 2020. Rated R, actually. Hanzo Hasashi loses his family during an attack by a rival clan in the Lin Kuei. He is given the chance to compete in an interdimensional tournament to save his loved ones, while other fighters try to save the Earth realm from annihilation. It is directed by Ethan Spalding. It is written by Jeremy Adams, Ed Boon, and John Tobias, and it stars Jennifer Carpenter, Joel McHale, Ike Amadi, and a bunch of other voice actors. Omari, why'd you bring this one to me?
I'm surprised John Tobias was credited as still being part of that, but they had that ugly breakup a while back. Anyway, so Mortal Kombat. Like I kind of touched on it in my little description. One of the biggest fighting game franchises out there. We both know this, especially when better, quote unquote, better made technically games come out. Fighting game of the year usually goes to Mortal Kombat just because it has that much mass appeal. Um, hadn't touched it yet. I've covered Street Fighter, Tekken, Fatal Fury. Pretty sure there was another fighting game movie in there that at some point where it's just like, hey, here's fighting game movies. I haven't touched on Mortal Kombat yet. Why is that? I was gonna try to stick with the '90s like I did with the other ones, just for a quality compare, keep it in the same quality field. But the only movie '90s thing I found was like 30 minutes long and hard to find. So I'm like, okay, let me pick something more doable. Remember back in 2020, they had this short series of films for Mortal Kombat following different characters, the first of which being Scorpion's Revenge. And as we'll go over, it also covers some of the story of the first Mortal Kombat game in it as well, despite it being its own take on it. But yeah, I like Mortal Kombat. Who would have guessed? Scorpion's a fucking flaming skeleton man who's undead. That sounds Halloween enough for me. We got Mortal Kombat. Um, Bill, you expectations or experience with Mortal Kombat?
You? Let's see. I think, watched everything live action.
Okay.
I
haven't even watched everything live action. I've not seen the recent live action movie.
And I think I played up through 4 on the game. Most probably familiar with 2. Probably put the most hours into. Other than that, not much. Other than what's in the films, not really aware of lore on anything beyond what I've already heard you talk about.
I'm about to say I was well versed on the lore up through a lot of the games. Yeah.
Other than things that I've heard from you or just picked up through osmosis of different things. Like I always knew that like Scorpion and Sub-Zero are feuding in some way. And beyond that, not a ton. Not a ton of Mortal Kombat connection. It was never, I was never like, it was a thing I watched, but it was never something. I was really into the first film, which doesn't have a whole lot of game connection other than tournament. Liu Kang's the main character.
Just the loosest premise of the
Although
game.
a lot of beats of the tournament
like,
story,
it gets
kind of share
the outline. If you were to outline the tournament, they hit those points the same. Like here's a tournament, here's the people involved. One of them's there's gonna be some shady shit and other little side character interactions.
As far as like expecting being fully transparent, I don't if I take myself back, I don't know if I was in a bad mood or what, but the day leading up to it, knowing that this was on my docket, it was annoying me for some reason. I was like, I had my lowest expectations possible and was just like, what the fuck did Omari shoot? Like, what is this going to be, like an assembly of in video game cutscenes? Like I was reducing it to its worst potential level before I was even seeing it. And it was within the last hour before I was going to be watching it. I was like, what are you, like, why are you putting such low expectations on it, or like such a negative reaction already? Just just go into it and see what it is. But I was anticipating more of just like a Scorpion origin story, a lot of lore of Mortal Kombat,
leads up
a lot of exposition of the Scorpion tragic hero thing. That's kind of what I was anticipating.
Fair enough. And I guess we'll just hop into discussing the film itself. And it opening up with the new MK Animations logo featuring Daffy, just like in front of the Warner Brothers. And then Scorpion kills them. Like, oh, okay. Because Mortal Kombat is a Warner Brothers thing now. Or NetherRealm Studios, who makes Mortal Kombat.
And this is kind of right away where I clicked into exactly what I should be expecting from this, because I'm a fan of a lot of the Warner Brothers DC direct to DVD or direct to streaming kind of stuff. And so I immediately clicked into like, oh, okay, it's going to be like that. Like that's what I should anticipate, is kind of like one of those DC Superman one-off movies. In that, and it is very similar in art style and animation styling. So that ended up being pretty accurate and set my expectations pretty well just from seeing that Warner Brothers logo.
And speaking of the Scorpion origin story, not as much of a focus as you would imply with the title being called Scorpion's Revenge.
Getting beyond that opening sequence with a live pre-Scorpion, it was pretty surprising to like be like, oh, okay, we're doing the tournament.
It's a lot more Mortal Kombat 1 with a Scorpion lens as opposed to a Scorpion movie. Which also surprised me my first time watching it. I was like, Really? It's called Scorpion's Revenge. I thought this would be just a whole Scorpion side story. No, it's Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, it is the Mortal Kombat story that any casual Mortal Kombat would know, just from Scorpion being the main character,
Yeah.
as opposed and Liu Kang is a supporting character,
Yeah.
and Raiden is almost a cameo level character. Like that's kind of how the
He'd be cracking me.
hierarchy ends up being.
He'd be cracking me up this movie, just like swatting people away.
Yeah, man, yeah, they really overpower. They really show Raiden's power in this one. He's like, nope.
And at one point, he literally backhanded someone like across the room, just nah.
Kano?
Yeah, it was Kano.
Or no, Goro.
No, oh yeah,
It was
because Goro was beating
after
up the
ripped off
dude.
Jax's arms. Yeah, he
Yeah.
literally just went, meh.
All right, enough of this bullshit. But yeah, we have the whole thing backstory. We get to see his kid Satoshi Hanzo being Scorpion. Hanzo's kid Satoshi with them. Got the whole metaphor at the beginning of the ants fighting a scorpion. I'm like, okay, you got the metaphor right out the box. But you see, the scorpion is stronger than the ants. Doesn't matter what the ants do. The scorpion prevails with willpower. All right. But yeah, get the initial ninja attacks, and they decided, hey, you know, one thing that's different between the 90s and now with the games, we got X-ray moves. So we're incorporating those into the movie. So many things like with the close-up X-ray shots. But while super graphic, I like the fact that, and it's probably because it's animated like it is, it feels less graphic than the modern day games. And I say that as someone who still kind of likes Mortal Kombat. But Mortal Kombat reached this paradox where in the 90s they became known as the people responsible for the ESRB, because their stuff was considered so crazy, which in hindsight you look at it, this guy exploded into like 5 rib cages, 3 skulls, 80 bones. This is clearly not meant to be realistic. What are you guys overreacting to? But at the time, that's crazy pushing the envelope. But
Right.
as the public zeitgeist, you know, changes their perception of what is brutal, Mortal Kombat didn't want to just be accepted as another thing with society. They always want to be that, that's too much. Unfortunately, that means the games get a little more and more graphic. They're like, we put a whole functional skeleton on the model underneath the skin model. So when you rip out that part of the body, it'll be the intestines. It'll be this. It's like, okay, you don't need to, but I get it. Luckily, the animation, while it had that, still because it's animated and it's faster, very fast paced, I wouldn't nearly as bothered as I am with some of the modern day games. I'll still play the modern day games. Calm down, MK fans. But you get my point.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a separation when it's so stylized and like you said, animated. But yeah, it is quite graphic, but also in like
Artistic way.
a cool way. I don't like sometimes they have shots of like the the meat that remains that aren't
Fair.
great.
Yeah. But yeah, it does get pretty brutal.
gross.
It's just easier to accept.
Right. No, I'm into brutal and not and like it tinges on gross. I
Yeah.
think is the accurate thing for me. But man, the yeah, the killing of his son was brutal. That's brutal. And for it to happen in the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah, we get the subsequent revenge tour of him finding his wife dead, killing random Lin Kuei. Like you said, son die in front of him.
Yeah, it's at this point where I was like, okay, well, this is kind of the thing that I was anticipating happening at like the halfway point of the movie. So now is like the movie going to be about him like becoming Scorpion? Event like at the climax is when he puts on the yellow and black again for the first time or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's going through my head at this point.
Yeah, and I thought a
Because I'm
similar
still
thing.
not anticipating the tournament.
Yeah. I thought a similar thing my first time, especially when they cut to Raiden fighting Liu Kang for no reason. I'm like, oh, is this just the cameo section where it's like, hey, here's the other MK characters you like. Now we'll go back to Scorpion. But then it's like, oh no, this is them wrapping up people for the first tournament. We're just still doing the first tournament story. It's just like, you guys have seen that. So here's a different lens where we got Scorpion focus. And we're working
Johnny
characters from
Cage
later
is
games.
broke.
Yeah. Broke, wife leaving him.
Sonya Blade is participating in a
random street fight thing.
in a street
Kumite.
fight for money. Just like off to the side of her, like I don't really understand. Like you want to like why isn't that just a bad guy that she's that one kind of annoyed me a little bit of like why would Sonya Blade be participating in this street fight for money?
My only guess is so that she could get information that she gets afterwards. Like to kind of like get into the underground to deal with the Black Dragon so she can find Kano, because that's always been her thing. I gotta beat this Kano motherfucker. Let me go find him. Oh, he'll be at the Mortal Kombat tournament? I'm there. I gotta get this guy.
Yeah, see, like, I think that dude is showing up.
No, he shows up after the fight. Yeah.
To give her information. Like, it's just like I've found you.
Yeah.
Like, here's where you are, Sonya. I've been looking for you. Here's this information. I don't think him showing up has relation to the street fight.
Also could be true. Like I said, see, it also, I'm with you. It's kind of random. This is me just trying to justify it as maybe she's trying to check multiple avenues or something.
Right. I get it.
But yeah, a lot of cheesy one-liners in here. I forget what the -1 was in reference to, but the guy's like, "Oh, there's thousands of us." Oh, Sonya, when she beats the dude, he's like, "There's hundreds of us," and so breaks his arm. -1. They just keep trying to get one-liners throughout the movie. Okay. Eventually, everybody wraps up and gets on the boat. We get the Mortal Kombat thing. Cage thinks it's a movie the whole time, just completely lost. Just like, oh, I don't know what these special effects are about. And yeah, throughout this movie, cameos from people who weren't involved in MK1, like Jax, like Nitara, like other people, where I'm just like, oh, hey, you're here early. You weren't part of Mortal Kombat 1.
Baraka,
yeah.
Yeah.
Baraka was there. Some other
I can't
stuff.
believe I just pulled that name out of some back corner of my mind.
Well, to be fair, he debuted in Mortal Kombat 2, the Mortal Kombat of which you are most familiar.
Okay.
So that probably helped. Yeah. But yeah, we get the whole Quan Chi side of things where he's manipulating Scorpion, saying he wants a key to rescue Shinnok.
Dude, that's my favorite sequence in this film is Scorpion in hell. And the reveal of his torture and how he gets out of it. It's very Berserk.
Yeah.
In like man versus 1,000 demons fights. Like he's going to literally be
that's what the
swinging swords
was.
as he's dying.
That's what the -1 was. It wasn't Sonya. It was the demons. There's 1,000 of us, and we were gonna fight you. He kills the like -1. Yeah.
That's probably a favorite sequence of the film. All of that, all the way up until Shinnok.
Shinnok never shows up. Quan
Chi, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Quan Chi, the sorcerer, tells him, hey, I want to save Lord Shinnok, ruler of the Underrealm, who's in prison, who, as they say numerous times throughout the movie, motherfucker's in prison for a reason, you dumbass. We're not... No. They say that multiple times. Raiden says it. Fucking Shang Tsung, of all people's like, you want this key? He's in prison for a reason. I'm super evil and I don't want that motherfucker. But yeah, we get a lot of cool stuff. We mentioned Goro getting backhanded into the wall after the Jax losing his arms thing, which
Yeah,
is them
right.
explaining the metal arms later because he does get them ripped off. I don't think he gets them ripped off by Goro though.
I was
In canon.
anticipating because we hadn't I wasn't thinking Goro yet, and I was thinking that we needed more with Sub-Zero. I was
Mm,
assuming the guy coming out of the tunnel was going to be Sub-Zero, and it would be like, oh, frozen arms
yeah.
shatter kind of scenario. Um,
I was not anticipating Goro coming in that early, but what I love about the Mortal Kombat like little side media things is those mini bosses, your Goros, your Kintaros, whenever they get brought up in the movies for like the first time, it's the crowd cheering for them because it's just the like trauma response in your head as a player triggers with that, oh no, this motherfucker is Goro. It's Kintaro. Like Mortal
Kitara
Kombat.
with a cameo in this film later.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks is a video game that pretty much covers the story of MK2 through the lens of Liu Kang and Kung Lao for the PS2. It's
Okay.
like a run around beat 'em up type deal. And there's a point where you're nearing the end of the game and you're like in an arena and it's like, and I summon my champion, and the crowd just Kintaro, Kintaro, Kintaro. And I remember my friend and I who were playing at co-op were just like, oh fuck. And so I get you get the similar response when Goro comes out because these four-arm motherfuckers ain't to be messed with. I forget the name of it. Shokan. That's the name of their species. These Shokan motherfuckers ain't to be messed with. And Kintaro has tiger stripes. Anyway, uh, but yeah, we start getting the fights around the movie. Johnny versus Baraka. If it's not Baraka, it's someone else in Baraka's species, another Tarkatan, but I'm pretty sure it's Baraka. Or it's meant to be Baraka.
Yeah.
Sonya versus Reptile. Um, fuck with the blade, you're gonna get cut. Liu Kang versus Katana, where Katana's just like, oh, you say you were a brave warrior? I quit. Oh, all right. I guess we had to get that in there. So, like, we can't focus on those two. Liu Kang's not the main character, but we still have to hit the
Even though
romance
we haven't
storyline.
seen Scorpion for 20 minutes.
They're like, but we have to get that part of the storyline that Liu Kang and Katana have a thing going on for our other specials. So let's just do this here and move on. Johnny Cage keeps getting kicked in the nuts by Sonya. He kind of deserves it half the time because he's hitting on her.
Yep.
Get the big campfire scene where they meet up with Scorpion, and he's like, I don't think you guys know what you're into, and I'm not gonna join you because I'm a loner. I do my own thing. I'm a fucking Spectre here for revenge. And Raiden's like, well, you're gonna have to do something. And eventually we get the team versus the robots. That was a cool little sequence. I call them robots, but they're more like cyborgs. Or the people
Right.
like wearing all the gray and shit. That was a cool scenario. Finally, we get our Scorpion versus Sub-Zero thing. Specifically, I'm pretty sure this is Bihan, the Sub-Zero that goes on to become Noob Saibot in the canon. I say this because starting Mortal Kombat 3 and onwards, it's his younger brother and
Okay.
a more good guy focused Sub-Zero compared to this movie where he's kind of a dick even when it's not Quan Chi pretending to be him.
Which one's the maskless Sub-Zero?
The younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget his name off the top of my head.
Because in 3 there's both, right? You have 2 Sub-Zeros you can choose from.
In like Ultimate and or Trilogy, yes.
Okay.
And the one with the mask is the old one from MK1 and 2 who
Okay.
dies. MK3, the maskless one, is the new younger brother on the side of good.
Okay. So Sub-Zero is just like a title?
A title, yeah.
Okay.
But like the leader of the Lin Kuei.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I probably always just thought that was just 2 alternate outfits for the same guy.
I
Like,
first looked.
it's like
I
maskless and masked.
I thought that too until ironically MK Annihilation, where of all the things they get wrong in the movie, they apparently get that right. Because then in like later games, when I finally studied the lore, I'm like, oh no, that actually is the younger brother. Huh. Well, shit. Oh, Noob Saibot is the original Sub-Zero after he got killed by Scorpion and decided to come back as an undead
Was that the red one?
Black Shadows.
Black Shadows. Okay.
Yeah, black and with shadows. Not to be confused with the gray one who is Smoke. Yeah. Also, Noob Saibot is Ed Boon and John Tobias' last names backwards. Noob Saibot. Uh yeah. So anyway, this is that Sub-Zero, which explains why he's a bit more evil, even when he's not being portrayed by Quan Chi pretending to be him. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy was a bit more of a dick, and Scorpion killed him, and the Sub-Zero we get later. Oh, okay, well, he's on the side of good. But anyway, we finally get that fight. That shit's fun. We get the hallway fight with Johnny and Sonya versus the demons and a Motaro cameo.
Yep.
Cool shit there. Fucking the death of Kano, like the way they beat him like at the end of the gauntlet and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that was dope.
I also love how Kano is just Australian from now on, thanks to the first live action movie. He wasn't, I don't think he was Australian until that movie, and that guy came out with his like accent and just making the character his own. And they're like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, Kano's Australian from now on.
Yeah, you can't do Kano any other way than what that guy just did Kano.
So I did love that. Of course, we get Liu Kang.
Oh my god, when he's like tapping the tip of the knife to his little plate thing. So good. He's so good.
Yeah. We get Liu Kang versus Goro, Battle of the Champions. Liu Kang loses, gets his ass whooped, and in comes Scorpion to save the day. Just kind of an evolution as the games went on of who the main character was for a minute, where for whatever reason Boone was like, fuck a Liu Kang. This is Scorpion's game now. This is
Liu Kang's kind of a dweeb, particularly in this film. I don't know, but it's because there's one person that they're giving main character energy, and it's Scorpion. Otherwise, Liu Kang is just walking around like, it's my destiny. I have to.
And Raiden's like, oh, did you think your destiny was to beat Goro? No, it's to beat Shao Kahn. Yes, in a later movie. That's what I meant the whole time.
How many of these have they pumped out so far?
I think they've done about 4. And each one like has a different focus character.
Cage Match, Battle of Realms, and Snowblind.
Yeah.
Yep, so, that looks to be all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've been working on these films. I've only really seen Scorpion's Revenge. I haven't seen the other ones yet. And I saw Scorpion's Revenge back when it came out. But yeah, any other big standout moments? I did like Quan Chi trying to betray Shang Tsung and that just not working. Because Shang Tsung is all about betrayal himself. He's like, did you really think I was going to let you poison me, you stupid motherfucker? You think I didn't know what this was about? And again, that's where it comes up with the whole key thing. You wanted this? Motherfucker's in prison for a reason. No, we're not freeing Shinnok. Get the fuck out of here. And Shinnok shows up. He's the boss of MK4 with the like skeleton hands and shit because he's the Lord of the Netherrealm. He finally gets... Yeah, that's also the game outside.
Was that the first game where you could like shift
3D?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first like 3D game.
Okay, yeah, that was the last. That was basically the last Mortal Kombat I played.
Yeah, that one, and yeah, so Quan Chi.
I had that for the 64, but I didn't really play it a ton.
Yeah, and I think even in that game, Quan Chi is trying to get the amulet to free Shinnok, or he gets it at the beginning. He gets Shinnok's amulet and frees him. Also, that game ends with Quan Chi revealing to Scorpion, "Yeah, you've hated Sub-Zero for 3 games. It was me, motherfucker. You should have hated me. Haha. Fuck you. I'ma send you to hell." And Scorpion's like, "You ain't sending me to hell alone." Goes, grabs him, and takes him to hell with them. Beats the shit out of him. Quan Chi escapes, forms an alliance with Shang Tsung. We get Deadly Alliance. Where the
Well,
first,
he kind of semi reveals it in this one, right?
yeah, he reveals it in this one.
they're about to fight, and he's like, "You're gonna die," or something about how your wife died.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, he reveals in this one that he's the one that kills him. In this movie, he's like, "No, I killed your parents, not Sub-Zero."
Yeah.
And then when they have their fight, he's like, "I hope you put up a better fight than your wife did."
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so they were like, "We're not gonna wait 4 movies to tell you that Quan Chi did it. You guys know Quan Chi did it."
I mean, it has the benefit of probably being our most recent one, our most modern one, but I would say probably the best animation of the fighting
I will agree.
of all of these animated fighting films you brought to us.
Yeah. And again, that's why I said I wanted to at first do it with the same 90s lens that the
Yeah.
other ones had, because it would have that unfair advantage of being modern. That said, I think the only one I would argue is, you know, with the whole caveats that we've already mentioned, is probably the Street Fighter 2 one, animation wise, for their sequences.
Yeah.
The Fatal Fury, whatever.
I remember there was one of them that was bad, that it would basically almost cut out the fight scenes. Was that
Fatal
the Fatal
Fury, I'm
Fury
pretty
one?
sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was Fatal Fury. Tekken had some fights, but they were also kind of on the bottom half of these. But the bottom line is, all of these have more recent movies. It's just the MK would happen to be the one to have the recent movie first. Will we watch other fighting game movies? Maybe. Probably. Let's be honest. I only know a few. I only have a few wheelhouses, okay? Fighting games is one of those wheelhouses. So we will see other stuff down the line. That said, anything else stand out to you about this movie or whatever, or wrap into the final thoughts?
No, yeah, I think we covered most of it.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, though, I liked it. It could have been better in something. I would have enjoyed it more if it was actually Scorpion focused and not. This is an excuse to show the MK1 story again.
Yeah, that's kind of like for me it was good leaning mid.
Okay.
And like when because I watched it on my own, and then when I came back out to the main section of the house, my wife was like, "So how was it?" And I was like, "Honestly, its worst crime was how mid it was. It was kind of easy to lose interest inadvertently, just
I can
kind
see
of
that.
just because like, even as one of the more casual of Mortal Kombat fans, once they get going with it, you kind of know everything that's going to happen. I would have much rather seen a Scorpion does berserk style demon hunter years, centuries before the tournament ever exists kind of thing would be dope for me. But yeah, that's just kind of not what we got. What we
Yeah.
got was fine. It was fine. It was just, that's kind of its worst crime, is it's
Yeah.
like, it's not bad. So I'm not sitting there just being like, oh God, it's so bad. And then it's not great in most moments. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh yeah,
It's okay.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine with some standout moments, I think is what it says. I like the art direction and what they did. But story wise, again, we've seen this show before.
Yeah, yeah, I would say,
The
I would
Scorpion,
say if you've seen the main films already, if you're not a huge Mortal Kombat dude, this might be skippable. But if you're a big Mortal Kombat person and you haven't seen this yet, Absolutely, absolutely
Give it a
check it out.
shot. That's a great way to put it. Well, there you have it. Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. Bill, what are we watching next week?
All right. Well, like as you said, we've been in spooky season and we've just been like dipping our little toes into it a little bit because we got a lot of weeks here actually in October. So we've just been kind of progressively getting you had your Beetlejuice, a little bit of dark comedy, some gothic Americana stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then we had this film that dipped our toes into hell and a
Yeah.
little bit of demons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just inch a little bit farther again, and we're gonna do a film from the 90s that I loved when it first came out. And it is going to be The Faculty from 1998 here on This Guy Hasn't Seen next week.
Yes, sir. All right. Looking forward to it. We've had a guest on the show by the name of Fluffles in the past who's been trying to get
Shout out
me.
to Fluffles.
Yep, shout out to him who has wanted me to watch this movie for a minute. So I'm looking forward to it. That said, if you want to catch us talk about other stuff like those other movies, go ahead and check them out on the channel. You can also check us out on Mondays with a show called Mock Draft. We talk wrestling and sometimes some drafts of other stuff. On Wednesdays, I got a show with a good friend of mine, good friend of the show, Super Jazz.
Super
Thank you
Jazz.
very much. As nature intended, we talk about just that, whatever we want. And on Saturdays, Bill and I have a show called You Don't Watch Sports right here on the Feo Grande YouTube network, where we talk about just that sports. Two guys, three topics, help you sprinkle a little information into your casual sports conversation and be your guiding light through the sea that is sports talk. And yeah, that I also have a Twitter and Twitch, Giotavi, Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by. Bill, you got anything else you want to say to the folks?
No.
All right. Well, everybody, we'll see you next week with the faculty. Adiosness.